Learnly English Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Learnly English Podcast. I'm genuinely so thrilled you're joining us today, especially if the IELTS test is something you're thinking about, or maybe you've already booked it. It's like such a big milestone for so many of us, right? Opening doors to studying somewhere new, maybe getting that dream job, or, even starting a whole new chapter in life. And let's be real, the thought of the actual test day can bring on a whole wave of nerves. I definitely remember those butterflies from when I did it, but seriously, don't worry, because today we are tackling that head on. Our mission basically is to pull back the curtain on the whole IELTS test day experience, like everything. We're going to walk you through it all step by step, from the moment your alarm goes off that morning to the exact second you walk out of that test center, hopefully feeling pretty good about it. We'll share what really happens during each part, drawing on stories from my friends and meet people just like you, probably around our age, who've just been through this whole thing recently. The goal is to arm you with really practical, actionable tips and some honestly invaluable insights so you feel totally empowered and just ready to show off your English.
That's absolutely right. Proper preparation for IELTS, it goes way beyond just nailing the grammar rules or memorizing tons of vocabulary. I mean, that stuff's essential, obviously. But it's just as much about understanding the actual environment you'll be in, the physical space, the kind of psychological vibe, knowing the procedures inside out, really getting what to expect, every little detail. Think of this session as your ultimate strategy guide, a shortcut to being properly clued in about everything. This kind of awareness, knowing the how and where, is often just as vital as how good your English is. It lets your actual skills shine through when you're under pressure.
Exactly. We're here to kind of take away all the mystery surrounding your IELTS test day. Make sure you have a really clear picture, you can visualize exactly what that day will look like. By the time we're done, hopefully you'll have the confidence to just walk into that test center, head held high, ready to show them your best English. I know loads of you, especially if you're, in your early 20s like me, might feel that little flutter of anxiety just thinking about it. And that's totally, totally normal. But honestly, from my own experience and seeing so many friends get through it successfully, knowing exactly what's coming, it makes a massive difference. It kind of shifts your focus from the scary unknown to what you can actually do.
It really does. That saying, knowledge is power. It's spot on here. That power directly cuts down on the pre-test jitters. It frees up your mind, gets rid of the unnecessary mental noise, and just lets your real English abilities come out. So as we get into all the details today, I'd really suggest maybe grabbing a notebook and a pen and kind of actively listen along. Maybe jot down any worries or specific questions you have right now about test day. Keep those in mind as we talk. Our aim is to turn those little anxieties into proper aha moments for you. What we're offering today isn't just random info. It's a carefully put together collection of insights and strategies, all based on real experiences and the official rules. It's about giving you a solid plan, not just a mess of facts.
Okay, cool. So let's unpack this whole journey, starting with what I think is one of the absolute most crucial bits of any big day, the morning of the test itself. Getting this routine right can seriously set a calm, positive tone for everything that comes after. My number one tip, and it sounds so obvious, I know, but you'd be surprised how often it gets missed in the pre-test chaos, is wake up early. And I mean really early. Give yourself loads of extra time. The goal isn't just avoiding being late. It's about feeling calm, relaxed, not starting your day in a massive stressed out rush. You want to ease into it, have a bit of quiet time, not just sprint out the door. Aim for maybe an hour and a half earlier than you normally would. This extra time covers unexpected stuff, lets you have a slow breakfast, maybe do some quiet mental prep. Okay, now for the single most critical item you absolutely positively must bring: your passport or your national ID card. I really, really cannot stress this enough. It has to be the exact same document you used when you registered online for the test. Okay, this is non-negotiable, super strict. I remember my friend Sarah, she's 22, had this awful experience last month. She registered with her national ID, right? But on the day, she just grabbed her passport by mistake, thinking, any official photo ID would be fine. Nope, they wouldn't let her in. All that studying, months of it, the money she paid just stopped dead because of that one simple mix-up. She had to reschedule, pay the fee all over again, and deal with all the stress of a totally wasted day. So please, please learn from her mistake. Double check your ID the night before. Triple check it. Put it right by your keys or by the door or, under your pillow. Wherever you absolutely won't forget it. Maybe even stick a note on your door.
Yeah, what's really revealing there is how Something that seems like a tiny logistical detail can just spiral and have this huge impact on what's already a super high stakes day.
Yeah.
You could have spent ages mastering English, right?
Yeah.
But if you slip up on this one practical thing, all that effort could be kind of put on hold or worse. And it links back to that whole idea of like total preparation. It's not just about knowing the language. It's also about what you could call maybe logistical mindfulness, paying really careful attention to the practical side of things. Being prepared isn't just what's in your brain. It's also making sure all the outside bits and pieces are sorted. It gives you a layer of confidence, you know.
Totally. And just as vital as knowing what to bring is being super clear on what not to bring. This is where lots of people, especially us younger ones who are kind of glued to our tech, can get tripped up.
Absolutely. Let's be crystal clear on this. And importantly, understand why these rules exist. Do not bring your phone. Do not bring your smartwatch, your fitness tracker, any smart rings, basically any electronic gadget at all into the test center. The reason, it's simple but really important. The test centers have super strict security, and they will not store these things for you. They just don't have secure storage, and they're not responsible if something happens to your expensive phone or watch. And this kind of leads to the question, why are they so strict? Well, it's all about keeping the test fair and secure. Test integrity. Every rule is there to stop any possibility of cheating, make sure everyone, everywhere in the world is playing by the same rules. Same goes for your own pens, pencils, erasers, sharpeners, notes, leave all that stuff at home. The test center provides every single thing you need to write with. Pencils, erasers, everything. It just makes arrival simpler and removes any doubt about what's allowed inside the actual test room. Lets you just focus on the test.
That's actually a massive relief, isn't it? Like one less thing to stress about back. But okay, besides the writing stuff, what about like basic needs? Food and water. You're going to be there for a while. What's the deal with that? Right. So you absolutely cannot bring any food or water into the actual room where you do the listening, reading, and writing tests. No drinks on the desk, no snacks in your pocket. But pretty much all test centers have a specific break area, usually near where the lockers are. And you can keep your water bottle and maybe a small snack in your locker there. My best advice, call the test center beforehand or definitely check their website just to confirm their exact rules because it can vary slightly. Staying hydrated and having like a quick, easy to eat snack during a break can honestly make such a difference to your energy and focus. It's a long test. You're sitting there for roughly 3 hours for those main sections, right? Even getting a little bit dehydrated or having your blood sugar dip can mess with your concentration. So plan for it. Pack something simple like a banana or a cereal bar, maybe some nuts, probably not a huge sandwich that'll make you feel sleepy afterwards. Which brings me perfectly to another super practical tip. Wear comfortable clothes and dress in layers. Seriously, this makes way more difference than you'd think. Test rooms are famous for having weird temperatures. Sometimes they're freezing like an icebox, other times they're boiling hot. You need to be able to adjust easily without it distracting you. I always tell my friends, especially the girls, wear something that makes you feel confident, sure, but mainly comfortable. Think soft fabrics, maybe leggings or comfy trousers, nothing too tight or scratchy, nothing you have to keep fidgeting with. Like a simple t-shirt with a zip-up hoodie or a cardigan is usually perfect. And on the food front, definitely eat a good breakfast. It's your fuel for the next few hours. But, and this is key, don't try anything new or super heavy. Today is not the day to experiment with that weird smoothie recipe or have a massive fry-up. You absolutely do not want an upset stomach or feel bloated or have a sudden energy crash halfway through reading. Stick to what you know works for you. Maybe porridge, eggs, toast, yogurt, and fruit. Something familiar that gives you steady energy. And finally, circling back to our first point, arrive at least 30 minutes early. You won't just need that time, you'll be grateful for it. It gives you plenty of breathing room for that surprisingly thorough check-in process without feeling rushed or panicked.
You know, if we kind of zoom out and look at the bigger picture here, these might seem like small things, right? What to wear, what to eat, which ID, almost trivial details. Yeah. But actually, when you add them all up, their impact on your mental clarity and your ability to focus is huge. And it's really significant. During a high-pressure test like IELTS, where you're using all your brain power, your ability to concentrate without distractions, internal or external, is everything. Cutting down on any chance of feeling physically uncomfortable or having that last-minute panic about your ID, it genuinely frees up your mind to just deal with the test itself. Imagine trying to focus when your stomach's rumbling or your jeans are too tight or you're worrying if you brought the right passport. It's about setting yourself up for success on every level, allowing those English skills you've worked so hard on to just flow without any silly interruptions.
Okay, so you've done all the prep, you've arrived early, you've got the right ID, comfy clothes, good breakfast, phew. Now, let's talk about actually getting into the test center and navigating what happens next, what I call the check-in gauntlet, because it can feel a bit like that. So when you first get there, especially if it's like in a city center, it can be quite a scene. You'll probably see loads of other people waiting outside, often other young people, maybe around our age too. Some might be nervously chatting, some might be flipping through notes, lots just kind of pacing around. You can really feel the anticipation in the air. My advice, take a really deep, slow breath. I promise, everyone there is feeling pretty much the same way you are. Knowing you're all in it together, that shared feeling, can actually be kind of comforting. It makes your own nerves feel more normal. Try and use that energy. Focus it rather than letting it make you more anxious. Just remind yourself, you've prepared for this. You're ready.
And then the check-in process itself starts, which, as you said, is surprisingly thorough. Lots of people compare it to airport security, and honestly, that's not far off. First step, you show your ID, the exact one, to the staff. They'll check it really carefully against their registration list. They need a perfect match. No doubts about who you are. Then they'll take your photo. This is just for their records, part of your official test identity. Don't worry about how you look. It's purely functional, a standard security thing. After that comes the security check. You'll need to empty your pockets completely. Keys, coins, tissues, lip balm, everything. All your belongings, bag, jacket, any snacks you brought have to go into a locker. A lot of centers use metal detectors now too, so be ready for that. Like a quick wand scan, usually. I remember a friend, maybe 24, telling me he completely forgot about this tiny metal hair clip his girlfriend had put in his hair as a joke that morning. It beeped. The staff were fine about it. Obviously, it got sorted quickly, but it just added this totally unnecessary jolt of stress right before he went in. What's kind of fascinating here is just how detailed and consistent the security is. It really shows how standardized IELTS is globally. This strict approach is all about protecting the test's reputation and making sure it's absolutely fair for every single person taking it, no matter where they are in the world.
It really is all about keeping it secure and fair, isn't it? And here's something that catches people out sometimes, especially if they haven't done international tests before. You might be asked for a palm scan or a fingerprint for extra security. I know it sounds a bit sci-fi, maybe even a little intimidating, but trust me, it's totally normal. It's a routine part of the IELTS security in many places now. It's just another strong way to make sure it's really you taking the test, preventing anyone trying to cheat the system. So once you're through all that, they'll give you a locker key, find your locker, put your stuff away safely. And here's a super practical tip, learned the hard way by a friend. Look after that locker key, keep it somewhere really safe. Losing it creates so much hassle and panic when you're finally done and just want to get out of there. Trust me, you'll want a smooth exit. Okay, so security cleared, stuff locked away. You'll usually end up in a waiting area. There are normally chairs, sometimes a water fountain, and crucially, toilets nearby. Which brings me to probably the most vital piece of advice for this waiting stage. Use the bathroom now. Seriously, I can't say this enough. During the actual tests, loo breaks are really restricted, super controlled. You get escorted. It's awkward. They might let you go once during reading or writing, but it always comes out of your test time. And that time is precious. So do yourself a massive favor. Get rid of that potential distraction. Save yourself the time and stress, and just go before you head into the exam room. While you're sitting there waiting, the staff will give a quick rundown of all the rules and regulations. Listen really carefully to this. Every single word. They'll tell you exactly what to do if you need help, usually just raise your hand quietly, how to signal if there's a problem, and really importantly, what you absolutely cannot do during the test, like talking, looking at anyone else's paper, using anything you're not supposed to have. Everything they tell you is to help make sure the test runs smoothly and fairly for everyone. Ignoring the rules can have serious consequences, so just pay attention. It's not long.
Yeah, that point brings up something important, doesn't it? It's not just about managing your brain power, but also managing your basic physical needs in this really high-pressure, timed situation. These rules, they're not just there to be annoying. They're carefully designed systems to keep things fair, efficient, and focused for everybody in that room. Knowing these rules properly beforehand and planning for them, like the toilet break thing, can actually take away a huge chunk of potential worry. It's like proactive problem solving, dealing with potential issues before they even come up, so your brain can focus 100% on the English questions.
Right, exactly. So all the pretest stuff is done. Let's get into the actual test sections, starting with listening. This is usually the very first one you do, so it kind of sets the vibe for the rest of the day. So the listening test itself is about 30 minutes long, but then you get that crucial extra 10 minutes just for transferring your answers onto the official answer sheet. Remember that 10-minute buffer? It's gold. You'll be at your desk, you'll have headphones, the question booklet, and the pencils they gave you. Now, the headphones, they're usually decent, but they might feel a bit different to your own ones, maybe heavier, maybe they sit differently. So before the audio starts properly, take a second to actually adjust them. Make sure they're comfy, sitting right, not pressing too hard. Ideally, you want them to block out as much background noise as possible. Create your own little focus zone. Just before the real test audio begins, they always do a sound check. You'll hear a voice, usually pretty clear, saying something like, "Can you hear this clearly?" This is your moment. If, for absolutely any reason, that audio isn't perfect, if it's too quiet, too loud, if it's crackly, if there's static, put your hand up straight away. Don't be embarrassed. Do not try and struggle through with dodgy headphones. Clear sound is absolutely essential for this section. Don't risk missing answers because of a technical problem you could have fixed. The staff are there to help with this exact thing, so let them know immediately.
Yeah, what's really smart about the IELTS listening test, if you dig into the strategy, is how it's built to reflect how real conversations actually work. They're not always neat and tidy. Information doesn't always come out perfectly clearly or in order. So the test has 4 sections, and they definitely get harder as you go along. Section 1 is easier than Section 4. And the key thing is you only hear each recording once, no replays, which adds pressure, like real life, right? But to help with that, there are little pauses built in, short silences between some questions and between the main sections. These aren't just dead air. They're your chance to quickly read ahead, see what the next questions are about, maybe predict the kind of answer you're listening for, and just mentally regroup. Use those pauses strategically. Let me give you a really typical example. Section 1, maybe you hear 2 people like our age, booking a hotel room, or planning something. The chat sounds totally natural. It'll have interruptions, people correcting themselves, hesitating, just like normal speech. So the caller might say, yeah, I need a room for the 15th. Oh, hang on. Actually, no, I just checked my phone. Make that the 16th of March. A super common mistake is that people hear the 15th, quickly write it down, and they kind of tune out for a second, completely missing the correction 16th that comes right after. It's not just about hearing words. It's about active listening, catching the changes, identifying the final correct piece of info. It tests if you can follow a real flowing conversation.
Ugh, that is such a classic mistake, isn't it? So frustrating when you realize you did that. It just shows how much you need to pay attention to every little detail. Which brings me to a massive pro tip for managing your answers. I really can't stress this enough. Always write your answers in the question booklet first. Use it like a notepad. Then, and this is the important bit, use that special 10-minute transfer time at the very end of the listening section to copy your answers carefully onto the official answer sheet. Trying to write directly onto the answer sheet while the audio is playing, it's a really bad idea. You end up splitting your focus, trying to listen and write perfectly at the same time, and you just miss stuff from the recording. Use that 10 minutes properly. It's there specifically to help you get your answers down accurately without rushing. Now, Section 4. This one's usually seen as the toughest part of the listening test. It's normally like an academic lecture or a talk, usually just one person speaking, maybe like a university professor. They tend to speak quite quickly, use more complex academic words, and the sentences can be quite long and involved. It's definitely a step up mentally. But here's my advice, kind of echoing what we said about resilience. Don't freak out if you feel a bit lost or miss something. Seriously, just accept it, let it go, and keep listening for the next bit. One missed answer should absolutely not ruin your focus for the whole rest of the section. A really common and really damaging thing I've seen friends do is panic. They realize they missed question 23 or didn't understand a keyword, and then they get stuck on it, replaying it in their head, thinking, what did they say? And while they're doing that, they completely miss the answer to question 24 and maybe even 25. It creates this awful domino effect. You've got to remember, each question is mostly separate. If you miss one, okay, it's gone. Make a quick guess if you have time, but then immediately refocus all your attention on the next question. That ability to just move on is a massive point saver.
Yeah, and if we kind of step back and think about what the test is really assessing here, listening isn't just about understanding spoken English. It's also a really big test of your resilience, your ability to listen actively when you're under pressure, and how well you can adapt to different speeds and levels of complexity. It's about staying focused, adjusting to how the information flows, and maybe most importantly, not letting little stumbles or moments of confusion completely throw you off course. That skill, being able to let it go and immediately switch focus to the next thing, that's a powerful mental discipline in itself, and it really helps your score. It's kind of like managing challenges in real life, isn't it?
Okay, deep breath time again. After that intense focus on listening, you'll usually move straight into the writing section. This one is a solid 60 minutes. And here's the massive difference from listening. There is no extra transfer time. Zero. You have to write your answers directly onto the official answer sheet within that 60-minute block. So you need to be really aware of that right from the start. The atmosphere in the test room definitely changes for Reading. It gets really quiet, like super quiet. The only sounds are maybe pages turning softly and the sound of pencils on paper. For some people, especially if you like a bit more buzz, this deep silence can feel kind of intense, maybe even make you feel more nervous. But my advice is to try and flip that perspective. Use the quiet to your advantage. That silence can actually be an amazing tool for really deep concentration. Try to embrace it, let it help you focus completely on the texts and the questions. Filter out everything else.
Right. And the structure of the reading test is pretty consistent. You get 3 reading passages, and they generally get harder as you go along. Passage 1 is usually easier than passage 2, which is easier than passage 3. So this immediately brings up a really key strategic question for you. How do you adjust your reading style and your answering strategy depending on how complex the text is? Typically, passage 1 will be about something more general, maybe more descriptive, like an article about a new museum or how tourism affects a place, or maybe different types of festivals. Passage 2 often steps it up a bit, maybe focusing on something related to work or education, like training programs, different teaching methods, or maybe the history of a particular invention. Then passage 3 is almost always the most academic and challenging. It'll likely be based on research, tackling complex social issues, maybe something scientific, or even a philosophical argument. It demands much more critical reading, understanding implied meaning, and pulling ideas together. Knowing this pattern helps you mentally prepare for the increasing difficulty.
Yeah, knowing that progression is so helpful, especially for managing your time. Time management is just absolutely critical here, probably more than any other section because of that lack of transfer time. Basically, you've got 20 minutes per passage, 20 for passage 1, 20 for 2, 20 for 3. And you really, really have to stick to that. It takes discipline. A super common mistake, one I nearly made myself in practice, is spending way too long on passage 1 just because it feels easier. It's such a trap. You might get all the answers right for passage 1, but then you find yourself totally rushing through passages 2 and 3, making silly mistakes, or worse, having to guess loads of answers or even leave some blank. You end up losing way more points than you gained by perfecting passage 1. So maybe even set a mental timer. After 20 minutes on passage 1, force yourself to move on, even if there's one tricky question left. Let me give you a really typical scenario, something that happens all the time, especially with questions like matching headings to paragraphs. Say you're reading a paragraph about developing solar power. It talks about the exciting future potential, but also mentions the current technical challenges. You might see 2 possible headings: future prospects of solar energy and current challenges in solar technology. Both might seem like they fit, right? The real skill here isn't just finding keywords. It's about rereading carefully and figuring out what the main focus of that paragraph is. Is it mostly about the problems, or is it mostly about the future potential? Which idea is dominant? That kind of detailed understanding takes time and really close reading, not just skimming.
Yeah, what's really interesting there is how the test isn't just checking if you can read English words. It's assessing a whole bunch of higher level skills. Can you find the main idea? Can you pull different bits of information together? Can you figure out what the writer implies but doesn't state directly? Can you analyze an argument? And can you do all of that really fast under pressure? It's as much a test of your thinking efficiency and strategy as it is your language skills. So building on that, a really vital practical tip. If you were genuinely stuck on a question, you've read it, you've thought about it, maybe reread the relevant bit of text, and you're still drawing a blank, make an educated guess and move on. Now, don't waste minutes agonizing over one single point. Blank answers get 0 marks, guaranteed. An educated guess, even if it feels random, always has some chance of being right. Never leave an answer blank. And also, make it a definite part of your plan to save the last 5 minutes of the reading section, purely for checking. Don't use this time to try and answer hard questions. Use it to quickly scan your answer sheet. Have you answered every single question?
Are your answers clearly marked in the right spots? Did you accidentally skip a number? I remember a friend, super smart guy, got so bogged down trying to figure out one really tough question in passage 3. He just lost all track of time. He ended up leaving something like 8 questions completely blank at the end because time just ran out. Those were potentially easy marks he just threw away because he didn't manage his time and didn't just guess and move on earlier. The key takeaway for you listening: time management in writing isn't just a nice-to-have skill. It's tested just as much as your comprehension. You have to practice pacing yourself. Treat it like a discipline.
Okay, reading's done. Next up is the writing section. Again, you get 60 minutes in total, but this time it's for 2 completely separate tasks. This is where good, disciplined time management really, really shows. You can totally tell who planned their time well and who didn't. You'll get a special answer booklet just for writing. and the question paper with both tasks on it. Your absolute first move before you even think about writing a sentence, take 30 seconds, maybe even a minute, just to read both task 1 and task 2 properly. This isn't wasting time. Trust me, it's a crucial investment. It lets you quickly see what each task needs, what the topics are, and most importantly, it helps you mentally plan how you're going to split that 60 minutes between them. Knowing both tasks up front stops you from accidentally spending too much time on the first one.
Yeah, understanding exactly what each task requires and crucially how much each task is worth in your final score is fundamental to doing well here. So task 1, you should plan to spend about 20 minutes on this. If you're doing the academic test, task 1 is usually describing some kind of visual information like a chart, a graph, a table, maybe a process diagram. You have to summarize the main points in your own words. If you're doing the general training test, task 1 is writing a letter, usually responding to a situation like making a complaint, asking for information, or maybe making arrangements. Now, task 2, this is the essay, and you should definitely allocate 40 minutes for this one. Here's the really critical reason why. Task 2 is worth twice as many points as task 1. Let that sink in. Twice the points. So this raises a massive strategic question. Knowing that, why would you ever spend more than 20 minutes on task 1? It just doesn't make sense score-wise. You absolutely have to prioritize task 2 and make sure your time reflects its higher value. Spending too long on task 1 is probably the single biggest strategic error people make in the writing test.
Totally. Let's think about a real example, especially for academic task 1. Say you get a bar chart showing how much energy different countries used over 20 years. A really common mistake, but not a good one, is just listing all the numbers. Country A used 10% in 2000, then 12% in 2005. Country B used 5% in 2000, then 7%. Don't do that. It's just reporting, not analyzing. The key tip, the thing that gets you better marks, is to group the information logically. Look for the main trends, the big comparisons, the exceptions. So instead of a list, you might write something like, overall, China and the USA were consistently the largest energy consumers throughout the period, accounting for around 25% and 22% respectively. This contrasts sharply with smaller nations like Denmark, whose usage remained minimal at only 2%. See? That shows you understand the main message. You're not just listing data points. Another super common mistake, one I've seen friends make and nearly did myself, is spending 35 minutes, maybe even longer, trying to make task 1 absolutely perfect, which then leaves them with only 25 minutes, or even less, to write the entire task 2 essay. Remember, task 2 isn't just longer. It's worth double the points, and it needs proper development. You need a clear argument, good examples, logical paragraphs, an introduction, a conclusion. You just cannot write a good, well-structured essay that covers all that by rushing it in under half an hour. You'll end up sacrificing quality, clarity, maybe even finishing it. Really practice sticking to that 20-40 minute split. Maybe even try doing task 2 first in your practice sessions, just to force yourself to give it the time it deserves.
Yeah, what's really compelling about the writing test is how it assesses way more than just your grammar and vocabulary. Task 1 tests if you can analyze visual data, pick out the key features, and summarize them clearly and concisely. Task 2 test if you can build a logical argument, support your ideas with reasons and examples, structure your thoughts coherently, and express complex ideas clearly. It's about using English to think and communicate effectively. Now, during the writing test, you might notice other people around you asking for extra paper, or maybe needing a new pencil. Try your absolute best to just ignore those little distractions. Stay in your own bubble. If you need something like more paper, just quietly raise your hand. An invigilator will come over and help you without disturbing others too much. For task 2, the essay, my absolute strongest advice always is plan your essay first. Seriously, spend maybe the first 5 minutes of your 40 minutes just making some quick notes, a simple outline. Jot down your main idea for the introduction. What are the main points for your body paragraphs? What examples could you use for each point? What's your main concluding thought? I remember a friend, really bright, just launched straight into writing her essay because she felt rushed. No plan at all. Halfway through, she realized her argument was all over the place. She was repeating herself, and her paragraphs didn't really link together logically, but by then, it was too late to fix it properly. She ran out of time trying to untangle the mess. That 5 minutes of planning saved so much potential heartache and lost marks. And finally, something super practical but often forgotten, and it directly impacts your score, your handwriting. It really matters. Remember, a real person, an examiner, has to read what you write. If they can't easily read your answer because it's messy or too small or crammed together, they simply cannot give you marks for it, even if your ideas are brilliant. Imagine trying to grade something you can barely decipher. It's impossible. So make an effort to write clearly. Leave sensible spaces between words. Use the lines in the answer booklet properly. Don't squash everything up. If we zoom out again, that planning time, it's never wasted. It's an investment. It structures your thoughts, makes your argument clear and easy to follow, and honestly, it directly helps your score by showing you can organize your ideas as well as use the language.
Phew. Okay, you've battled through listening, reading, and writing. Well done. That's the main bulk done. Now let's talk about the speaking test. This one's a bit different because it might be on the same day, or it could be scheduled like up to a week before or after the other parts. I know this is the section that often worries people the most. It definitely worried me when I was prepping, that face-to-face element. But honestly, if you approach it right, it's actually designed to be pretty friendly and conversational. Think of it less like an exam and more like just having a structured chat with someone interested in your opinions. You'll probably wait in a different area for this one, usually quieter. Then the examiner, a real person, will come and call your name. They might make some really light small talk as you walk to the room, like, how's your journey here? Or are you feeling ready? It's really important to know that this little bit of chat isn't part of the test score. It's just them being polite, trying to help you relax a little bit before you start properly. The room itself is usually pretty small and quiet, just 2 chairs facing each other, and you'll see a recording device on the table. Usually quite obvious. The examiner will check your ID one more time, quickly explain how the test works, and then they'll clearly state they're starting the recording. Try your best not to get spooked by the recorder. Just focus on the conversation with the examiner. Try and kind of forget it's even there.
Right. So part 1 of the speaking test. This usually lasts about 4 or 5 minutes, and it's deliberately focused on really familiar everyday topics. They'll ask you about things like your work or your studies, your hometown, your hobbies, maybe food you like, or your typical daily routine. Very accessible stuff. Now here's the absolute key insight for part 1. You need to give full answers. Don't just say yes or no. That's the biggest mistake. This is your first chance to show what you can do. So instead of just saying, yeah, I like my job, you need to expand on that. Maybe something like, oh yeah, I really enjoy my job as a graphic designer. I find it super creative, and I love seeing my ideas come to life. Plus, my colleagues are awesome, which makes a big difference. See, that raises the important point. It's not just what you say, but how you elaborate, how you use different words, different sentence structures, even for simple topics. It's about showing your range right from the start. Practice extending your answers with reasons, examples, extra details.
That is such good advice. It really changes the game if you normally give short answers. Okay, moving on to part 2. This is the one people often call the cue card challenge or the long term. You get given a card with a topic on it, like describe a book you recently read or describe a memorable journey you took. You get exactly 1 minute to prepare your answer. They give you paper and pencil to make notes. Use that minute. Then you have to talk about the topic for 1 to 2 minutes. A really common reaction, something my friends definitely felt, is instant panic. Oh no, I haven't read any books recently, or I can't think of any memorable journeys. Okay, deep breath. Instead of panicking, think broadly, think creatively. The examiner isn't testing if you're a big reader or a world traveler. They're testing if you can speak continuously and coherently about a topic. So for the book example, maybe you haven't read a novel, but have you read a textbook for college, an interesting magazine article, a blog post, even a cookbook counts, anything published? The best strategy is to use the points on the cue card to structure your talk. They usually ask things like what it was, when you experienced it, what happened, and why it was memorable or interesting. Just follow those prompts in your notes and in your talk. I remember my friend Sarah, again, she got the topic, describe an expensive thing you bought. She totally froze at first, thinking, I'm a student, I don't buy expensive things. But then she remembered her new laptop she'd saved up for university, and she was like, oh, perfect. Any purchase that felt significant or expensive to you is totally valid. The test gives you a topic, but it's flexible. It's a platform for you to speak.
Yeah, what's really freeing about the speaking test, especially part 2, is that it's not trying to trick you or test your specific knowledge. Not at all. Its main goal is just to see how well you can organize your thoughts and speak continuously for a decent length of time. How you can develop a topic, even if it's not something you normally talk about. It's about your fluency, your coherence, your ability to structure a little talk on the spot. It shows resourcefulness. Then part 3 flows naturally from part 2. It's a more abstract back and forth discussion related to the part 2 topic. So if you talked about a book, part 3 might move into questions about reading habits in your country generally, or the future of libraries, or the impact of technology on reading. It requires more general opinions and abstract thinking. Now, during this more abstract discussion in part 3, don't feel like you need to be an expert on everything. It's totally okay if you don't know specific statistics or facts. It's perfectly fine, and actually quite natural, to use phrases like, that's an interesting question, I suppose, I think, or, well, in my opinion, or, from what I've seen in my country. And then just give your honest thoughts. The examiner is listening to how you express your ideas and opinions, how you justify them, not whether your opinion is correct. Throughout the whole speaking test, parts 1, 2, and 3, try to maintain natural eye contact with the examiner. It just makes it feel more like a real conversation. And speak clearly at a natural pace. And here's a really important tip that empowers you. If you don't understand a question, please ask for clarification. It's absolutely fine. You can say, sorry, could you repeat that, please? Or could you explain that question differently? The examiner wants you to understand so you can give your best answer. They will happily rephrase. They want you to succeed. If we connect this all back to the purpose, the speaking test is fundamentally about your communicative competence. Can you interact effectively? Can you get your ideas across clearly? Can you elaborate? Can you manage a conversation? It's not about testing how much you know about a topic. It focuses on your fluency and coherence, how smoothly you speak, and how well your ideas link together. Your lexical resource, the range and accuracy of your vocabulary. And your grammatical range and accuracy using different sentence structures correctly. Understanding that helps you focus on what really matters in your answers.
Wow, okay, we have seriously covered so much today. From that first alarm clock buzz right through to handling the speaking test chat. It's been a really comprehensive guide. Before we finish up, I just want to share a few final thoughts. Kind of like heartfelt advice from someone who's been there and seen loads of friends go through it too. These are the things that really make a difference on the day. First, and maybe the most important thing, try your absolute best to stay calm throughout the whole day. It's a long day, emotions can go up and down, but actively work on staying centered. Deep breaths help. And if anything at all goes wrong, like your headphones suddenly cut out, or you start feeling really unwell, or you're confused about an instruction, tell the staff immediately. Don't sit there worrying or trying to cope alone. They are trained specifically to help with problems, to sort things out, and to make sure your test experience is fair. Speak up. It could genuinely impact your score if you don't. Second thing, and this one's huge mentally, do not compare yourself to the other people in the room. It's your test, your journey, even if you're surrounded by others. Everyone works differently. Everyone has different strengths. That person who finishes writing really early doesn't mean they did better than you. Maybe they rushed it. Maybe they missed something. Their speed, their vibe, it's totally irrelevant to you. Focus only on your own paper, your own timing, your own performance. You've done your prep. Trust yourself. And finally, a little mental trick I found super helpful. After each test section is finished, consciously let it go. Like, mentally close that door. Don't waste precious brain energy worrying about answers you might have got wrong in the listening section when you're just starting the reading. What's done is done. You can't change it. Your focus and energy are limited. Put it all into the task right in front of you now. Tackle each new section with fresh energy and a clear head. Every part is a new chance.
Absolutely. And to build on that, really try to connect back to your why. Why are you putting yourself through this? Remember, that reason is at that specific university course abroad. Is it joining family overseas? Is it getting that promotion at work? Keep that goal right there in your mind, especially when you feel nervous or tired. Let it be your anchor, your motivation. It's not just about passing a test. It's about opening that next door for yourself. And my final, probably most crucial piece of advice, something to really take on board, trust your preparation. Just trust it. If you have genuinely put into practice, if you really understand the format inside and out, if you've tried applying the strategies we've talked about today, then you are ready. You really are. You're ready to walk in there with confidence and show them the English skills you've worked so hard to build. And that kind of raises a big question for you to think about, doesn't it? How much does solid, dedicated preparation actually build that deep down feeling of self-belief and capability? The answer is massively. Preparation is the foundation of your confidence. It empowers you.
And there we have it, your complete, hopefully demystified guide to the entire IELTS test day. I really, really hope that walking through everything like this has helped take away some of the mystery and maybe calmed some of those nerves you might have been feeling. We've covered every stage right from the start. Remember, yeah, it's one intense day, but it's a day that genuinely holds the key to unlocking some amazing, potentially life-changing opportunities for your future. You absolutely can do this. Trust in all the hard work you've put in, stay as calm as you can, and just let your English shine. We totally believe you can smash it.
Indeed. Now, as you go forward from here, maybe take a moment to think about what we've discussed. How can you start using these tips and insights in your practice right away? And hey, if this conversation has helped you feel more prepared, maybe a bit less stressed about IELTS, imagine what else we could explore together. To keep getting these kinds of valuable insights and practical strategies, and to support us here at Learn the English Podcast and helping learners like you succeed, please do hit that subscribe button right now, wherever you're listening. And, if you have a friend who's also prepping for IELTS, be awesome and share this session with them. Good knowledge, especially stuff that helps reduce stress, is definitely meant to be shared. And just a final thought to leave you with. As you continue practicing, think about this. IELTS isn't just testing your English, it's also testing your resilience, how you adapt, how you handle pressure, how can you build that inner strength, not just for this test, but for all the cool opportunities and challenges that come after it.
That's a really great point to end on. Seriously deep. We truly wish you the absolute best of luck with your IELTS test. You've got the knowledge now, you've got the tools, we know you can do it. Until next time, keep practicing hard, stay confident, and go get those goals.